Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Expression Pass here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, the enlightened and excited Eddie V. Joining me is Bossman himself, the one, the only, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
I wish I had like a cool thing to say when someone introduced me. I don't know what to say.
Well, so it's so weird. I think it's like deadpan comedy in a sense, in a way, because it's just like Eddie's just so excited. He's introduced it. You just be like, hello.
Yeah, well, that's been our thing since we started, right? Like, just you're the exciting one, and I'm the grounded one. I'm the boring one, everybody.
But you're so detail oriented, and you know your Nintendo, you know your history. You proved me wrong a lot of times when
I do, like when Persona came to Switch.
That no, and when the Smash one with from Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, Sora. Yeah, I know.
Sora.
I called that. I'm so
nice.
proud of myself. Even though, like, in my brain, I knew that I thought that was just like a pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
Still super proud of myself for calling that. I gotta find that episode. I'm gonna clip it out.
You want to know what? I think I would have to go through all of our Nintendo Power Blocks of how many times that I've been wrong.
Oh god,
on so many things.
Well, so not to like, so somebody from on my Destiny podcast, Tower Casual, somebody went through and sent in a list of every nickname I've ever given Josh, because every episode there's like one or two new ones, and he went through and sent in a list of like every single one I've ever said, and this would be like the equivalent of like every time Ed's wrong. somebody out there do that. I don't know, give you a prize or something. I don't know, because
it was that the time that I argued that Xenoblade 3 wasn't coming. I felt like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 wasn't. I think I said that. I'm not saying that it wasn't coming out. I thought that they were going to be focusing.
You said their new IP was going to come out first, which,
yes.
Again, I've been uploading all the old episodes that aren't on the feed, and I uploaded the one where we talked about that concept art that leaked with the girl with the red hair overlooking the valley. Remember that?
And
remember when we talked about that?
And I literally thought that there was something for their new project, because they were so...
It is. It's not a Xenoblade concept art. That's the thing. It is not for Xenoblade at all.
And so I literally was thinking that was going to be their next game that they was going to announce. And Xenoblade 3 was further down in the pipeline, because I don't know. I know we talked about that they had multiple... they got multiple teams, but I kind of just feel like, man, were you guys making this game maybe a year after Xenoblade 2? Because I'm like, for you guys to announce this game and then be like, yeah, it's coming out this year. Wait, what? Like, how?
I mean, to be fair, it's been 5 years since their last game. That's a normal AAA time frame. You know, like you don't ever think about it, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out 5 years ago. Like, I mean, Zelda came out 5 years ago. It's just weird because the Switch is this console that still feels fresh, I think, in everybody's mind.
Yes.
And it's almost 6 years old at this point. We're in its sixth year. And so, like, sorry, I know you keep trying to talk. But
no, go ahead.
All these games that people still love, like, every single Nintendo console, except for the Wii, we would have had a new console by now. You realize that? Every single one. Every single one. The NES lasted 5 years. Super Nintendo lasted 5 years. 64 lasted 5 years. GameCube lasted 5 years. Wii lasted 6 years. Wii U lasted 4 years. We would have had a new console by now if this was any other Nintendo console. And the fact that this thing still feels fresh, still getting new games, still getting great games, unbelievable. And we're going to talk about some of the ones that are rumored to be in development still for this thing.
Yeah, it's just, I guess my thing was that they were focusing on their next game, Zero Blade Chronicles 3 was still in pre-production, because I felt like half of the team is probably working with the Zelda team to get
Mhm.
that game done.
And I'm wondering if, like, okay, so we knew a team was working on 2 and obviously moved on to 3, right?
Hmm.
We knew a team was working on Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and we knew a team was working on Zelda. I wonder if that 4th team was either helping finish Xenoblade or helping finish Zelda to get them out the door so they could start on this new project.
Right.
I
Because
just
I,
hmm.
yeah, so that's why I definitely thought that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 wasn't going to be announced, that it was going to be coming anytime soon, because I thought of, definitely for me, my perspective was that they're going to be bringing out this new IP,
Uh-huh.
and Xenoblade 3 would come out after it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so,
you know, it's
but I was wrong. I admit that I was wrong. I was just I take my hits when I'm wrong, and I accept it, and I'd be like, well, I'm happy that it's happening. Let's talk about it and let's enjoy. Gaming is gaming sometimes.
yeah. Well, I just, I want to see what that new IP is. I mean, we know what Xenoblade Chronicles is at this point. No offense to 3. I think 3 looks awesome. We
Hmm.
just did a whole episode talking about the games that are coming out. But like I want to see something new, and will it be connected to Xenoblade at all? Cuz I mean, technically this team has been working on Xeno games since Xenogears, and they're
Yeah,
all connected somehow. In the grand pantheon of things, they are all connected.
yeah, and I feel like Monolith Soft wants to make something definitely new.
Yeah.
It can still be like an RPG, but I think it's time for them. Personally, they probably feel like it's time for a new IP from us.
Yeah. Plus,
Like that.
I think Nintendo likes to kind of curate and have new IP when the time is right. And Xenoblade's been out for 4. Like, there's been 4 Xenoblade games,
Mm-hmm.
5, I guess technically if you count Torna. Like, I think maybe they're gonna put Xenoblade away for a while, and their next IP is their next game is gonna be this new thing.
Yes. Well, before we get into more Nintendo talk, we have some Patreon producers to give a shout out to.
We
So, Corey,
do. We do.
shout them out.
Okay, so if you want to support the Boss Rush Network and Nintendo Power Block and Expansion Pass directly, you can head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. For those who don't know what Patreon is, it is a monthly subscription service that allows fans to directly support their favorite creators, and in return for some perks such as early access to podcasts and other things. We currently offer two Patreon tiers, a $1 a month tier, which grants you 1 week early access to the Boss Rush podcast, and Nintendo Power Blocks expansion pass, as well as 2 weeks early access to Standard Definition, our retro nostalgia podcast, and Boss Rush After Dark. Our second tier is our $5 tier, which is our Patreon producer tier. That means, along with early access to all these podcasts, you get your name shouted out during this segment. So without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode are Quentin Jackson, Rebecca Jewell, Adrielle Munger, my wife, Sana Dirrig, and Francisco Santillan. I'm sorry. I'm still butchering your name. I'm still trying to get it right. We are recording on September 10th. So if you subscribe to the $5 tier, we will get you on the next episode we record. But these are the Patreon producers for this recording. I want to thank all of our Patreon producers. I want to thank all of our patrons, current and future. And I want to thank all of our free listeners. Remember, if you listen on iTunes or Spotify, if you're listening to Nintendo Power Block, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. It would really help us out. It helps with discoverability. It helps people find the show. Also, if you're watching this episode on YouTube, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up. It also forces the show into the algorithm for discoverability as well. We'd really appreciate it.
Yes. So, last episode we didn't get a chance to touch on this topic, but we're going to be talking about rumored games that may be coming to Switch.
We talk a lot. So
we do talk a lot. We talk a lot, have 15 side tangents that don't have nothing to do with the topic,
Right.
and but hey, that's an expression fest. That's how we record. That's how we do. That's how we podcast. If you haven't noticed that by now, get into it now. Just write it down. Be like, oh, okay. Ed and Corey got a new expression pass. But let's see what they talk about. Oh, they got a side tangent. Oh, this is another side tangent. Get into it. Just, just enjoy the ride. Listen to the conversation, and also respond to us. We're on Discord, like, or our Twitter accounts. Like, hit us up. Let us know when we get into side tangents. What are your thoughts about what we're talking about? Like, we would love to have your feedback.
Yeah. It's we want to know, and I think obviously the best way is to tweet at us at Powblock Podcast or leave a comment on the YouTube video. That's where we're going to see it the most. Feedback is great. Topic ideas are great. That's something I think I'm going to put in a Patreon tier is topics for shows. I think that's something we need to start doing again.
Yes.
So yeah, if you want to leave us those as well, please come check us out.
Yes. So, Corey,
Yes.
there may be some rumored games in development for Switch.
Yeah. So we were going to talk about this the last episode, but we obviously went long like we normally do. There are a bunch of rumored games in development, and I just kind of thought we could talk about it and see where we're at on if how real they are, how true they are, and if they're really, coming at this point. I think the big elephant in the room at the moment is the Metroid Prime remake, along with its. It's weird because Jeff Grubb and Tom Henderson have both said that the first game is getting remade, and the other two games are getting an HD treatment. We don't know what that means yet, if they're getting remade, but we know they are all going to be sold separately as opposed to a $60 trilogy, which means they better be doing some good work to this thing.
Right.
How do you feel about a Metroid Prime remake, Ed, the first one? Because, like, in my opinion, I think the games all still look relatively good.
Yes.
And then if you look at, like, obviously the Dolphin emulator, which is the, we don't condone piracy, but you should look at the Dolphin emulated version of Metroid Prime 1. At least it looks amazing. Like, with all the oranges and the blues and stuff. And really reminds me of Halo 4, which, we talked about this a lot early on, but obviously a lot of the artists from Retro went to work on Halo 4. But it still looks really good. My only hang up really with the GameCube version of the game is it's not in widescreen, which none of the GameCube games are.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a modern control scheme. And if we could just get that camera on that right stick and shoot with the trigger, make so much of a difference.
See, I think because I got so accustomed to Metroid Prime on the GameCube, on the way that it was designed control wise, that I don't know what you could do with a remake besides give a more detailed world, a little bit fleshed out.
Yeah, but we can see what a GameCube HD remaster can look like. Like, you look at Twilight Princess HD, for example.
Yes.
Right? It's not the most amazing looking game, but it still looks really good, right? It looks. I mean, that game came out in 2016 on the Wii U. It came out on what, GameCube in 2005, right?
Yeah.
2005 or 2006? 2006. Yeah, 2006. And, like, it still looks pretty darn good, right? I mean, I know they replaced the Link model, and I know they kind of cleaned up a lot of the NPCs, and they replaced Link, Zelda, and Ganon as character models, and Zant, I think. But, like, overall, the texture work was great. The game looked like a pretty modern Zelda game for all intents and purposes.
Yes.
So, I mean, you look at a lot of those GameCube games and Nintendo's arts direction in general, and it's like that's why I think games are timeless, right? Like Luigi's Mansion still looks amazing, Pikmin still looks amazing, Mario Sunshine still looks pretty good, right? Like a lot of those GameCube games still look good, and I don't know if you need a full-on remake of Metroid Prime unless you're like
Because
looking to really push the limits of Switch to see what an FPS can do.
well, it's not so much as push the limits. When I think of a remake, I'm like, you guys got to build this game from the ground up. You know, if unless you're HD find this game, like doing a remaster but putting it under the HD banner, okay, I could understand that you guys are doing something. But I'm like, you got to go in and really almost redesign and really make it look artistic. Because if it what you don't want to do, you don't want to do what they're doing with the Prince of Persia thing, where they're saying it's a remake, but it still look like the old game. You don't want to do that. You literally want to be able to go in, design this world that when it starts out, it looks beautiful, but yet there's something beneath it. Like you really got to give it a detailed world. And so if they're going to do that, they got to do it right. If you're just going to put like, let's clean up some of these textures, let's change the control, which is fine. I don't have no problem with that. Um, let's change the controls and stuff. Um, and let's make the probably 30 or 60 frames per second, make it 1080p or whatever, like just get this game running and looking great. Then I would be fine with that. But if you're gonna remake it, they going to have to really build this game up from the ground up. And I don't know if Retro would be able to do that at that time because of them resetting Metroid Prime 4. And also Nintendo was sneaky because they talked about I think they said this, I think it was in a report or some story that Nintendo likes to throw out fake leaks to find out who the leakers are. So they'll put out fake stories out or something, or they'll do something to get these kind of fake reporters. So when people try to leak stuff from Nintendo and everything,
Mm-hmm.
it's the wrong information. It's something that they never happened, but they know who that person is leaking it, and
Yeah,
I guess I don't know where they go from there.
right.
And Jeff
So
and Jeff and Jeff Grubb has been, I don't know, but he's been like a 0 to 0. Like he's been like failing big time with
I
these
don't,
leaks and
dude. I
rumors.
don't know what you're talking about, man. He's pretty spot on a lot of the time.
I'm talking about just lately for lately stuff. Like he's been on a lot of miss.
Um, so on Game Mess mornings on Giant Bomb, Jeff Grubb said that quote, this is the first game is getting a quote big boy remaster, not quite a general remaster, but not quite a full remake. So that tells me that they're just kind of going to clean up the game, kind of make it look a little bit nicer, widescreen, maybe modern
Hmm.
controls. That's what I'm taking from that. He also said Prime 2 and 3 are also coming separately without the full remaster treatment, which tells me that those are getting a, I guess, let's see, what would be a pretty low quality remaster. I bet they're just up-res versions of the Wii ports, right? Like
Hmm.
widescreen. Maybe they're getting controller support, and maybe they change the lighting or something, right? But
It's gonna
overall,
look a little bit cleaner and not have that
yeah,
Vaseline kind of like lighting to
hmm
it, brightness.
yeah. So I mean, that's fine. Like wouldn't expect that from any of these games. I would just expect I would say maybe a Twilight Princess level of HD remaster for all these, right?
Hmm.
Not a full on remake like Wind Waker was, right? Like I just I don't know. I don't think these games need a full on remake, like you said. Uh, I think they look great as they are. The only thing I would want is like an HD widescreen modern control schemes, and maybe, if there's some texture work that needs done, go in and kind of fix it.
Yes.
That's where I'm at on those.
Yes.
Do you have anything else to say about Metroid Prime, Ed?
Um, I don't really have much to say, but like if it happens, um, it'll be more of a shock to me.
Uh-huh.
Because of the focus for retro right now would be Metroid Prime 4. Unless
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo went with someone else to do it, that would be like, okay, now I see it. But I would still be shocked that
I
retro
mean,
isn't doing it.
to me,
But I'm like,
I think if they were doing a full remake, it would be retro. To me, a remaster tells me that they're going to outsource it maybe to either Grezzo, or which did a lot of the Zelda remakes and remasters,
mhm.
or the Virtuous, who did the Final Fantasy X remaster or something like that, right? Like, something tells me that's who they would go to. Actually, I
I
think Virtuous did the Twilight Princess remaster, actually.
I would be interested to see if Grezzo do it. I think Virtuoso probably can do it with ease. I think they have more experience.
Mm-hmm.
Grezzo is just like,
Yeah, like
that's
Grezzo's like a Nintendo, like a Zelda style team, right? I mean, I feel like
yeah.
they have more experience on that. Not that they couldn't do it, right? I mean,
No, exactly.
Retro was the Metroid Prime team, and then they turned around and made 2 Donkey Kong games. So what am I talking about?
Right.
So,
Who was
by
is
the way,
Grezzo's?
they need to port Donkey Kong Country Returns to Switch at some point.
Oh heck yeah.
I mean, no offense to Tropical Freeze, but I think Returns is a great game. One of the few games I played
Yes.
on Wii that I actually liked. So,
Yes. Is Grezzo's not in Australia. There is or is that virtual?
I I don't know where Grezzo is. I just know that they did the Wind Waker HD, and they did the 2 3DS games.
Okay. Because I know there is a porting company in Australia that has did some Nintendo games. I wonder if that's Saber. It's
No,
one of
Saber's
them.
Russian. Saber is located in Russia, which is like a big issue right now for a lot of companies, but that's a conversation for a different day.
Okay, so Grezzo is a Japanese company.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there is someone in Australia that's a porting company that has worked on Nintendo products that has done good, and I have to find out that company name. Um, but yeah, I would be shocked to see it. I don't think it's happening, um, or anything, but time will tell.
All right, and we're going to move on to this new Fire Emblem game that's been rumored for a while. Emily Rogers just talked about it on June 14th. My Nintendo News and Nintendo Everything both kind of reported on this a little bit. Nintendo insider Emily Rogers has been sharing details about a as of yet unreleased Fire Emblem game, which is in development for Nintendo Switch. Nintendo themselves haven't officially stated that they are working on a new game in the series, so we can't mark this as gospel. Emily says that the game was originally positioned to be announced during the Fire Emblem 30th anniversary, but Nintendo decided to spend more time polishing it. The new Fire Emblem game is in collaboration between 3 game development studios, Intelligent Systems, Koei Tecmo, and Gust, and has a brand new story. By the way, these are the 3 teams that worked on 3 Houses, so I expect this game to be nothing less than great. Here are the bullet points. Upcoming Fire Emblem is a new game, not a remake. It's a brand new story. Collaboration efforts between Intelligent Systems, Koei Tecmo, and Gust. Gust heavily assisted on the visuals and graphics. Graphics are an improvement over 3 Houses, which is good news because that game looked pretty good. I mean,
Yes.
there are games that look better, but I think that game looked pretty good. Originally intended as an anniversary game to celebrate Fire Emblem's 30th anniversary, the game has been finished for over a year. They are in the polishing phase now. Main character has strange red and blue hair. His mother is a dragon. I guess his or her, I guess. I would imagine you could pick a male or a female. New emblems gimmick. This is the part that has me really excited, Ed. New emblems gimmick allow players to summon Fire Emblem characters from the past for your squad. It does not sound like that pirate game that we want, but it still sounds super cool.
It sounds like another side game for some reason.
I mean, this is a mainline game. It's not a
rumored, I should say.
Yeah, but man, dude, this game sounds cool. The fact that you have like a whole squad of new characters plus a squad of old characters sounds awesome.
This is a possibility of happening because Emily Rogers have been on a good roll. I think she's been more believable than Jeff Grubb to me personally, with some things. So I could
That's
see
fair.
this.
She's usually pretty on top of things, especially when it comes to Nintendo, right?
Yeah, I could see this happening. I would be, I don't know. Yeah, I could see this happening. It sounds weird that they would bring some kind of that element into the story, because now.
But I think Fire Emblem is popular enough now though to where people are nostalgic for those older games, and if there's some way to bring that nostalgia into a current game, I think that's smart. You know?
Well, I think it's because of having Gus and Koei Tecmo now involved in the series. I think now it's become like, how are they like? It's kind of almost like the Mercury system thing Mercury thing with Metroid, in a sense that if we're doing 2D games, give it to them because they know what they're doing. And I don't know, do you feel like Koei Tecmo and Gus is now like part of the Fire Emblem universe with Intelligent System?
I mean, I think Intelligent Systems is more of a delegator type company, because like Intelligent Systems didn't start out as a developer. They started out as creating engines for Nintendo games, right? That was their whole thing. Yes. And then they made Paper Mario and started Fire Emblem, right? Like, I mean, that's their thing. And so like they didn't, I know their name is on the last Fire Emblem game, but they didn't straight up make the last one. Gust and Koei Tecmo did.
Which I think that is to find out that Koei Tecmo helped with Three Houses,
but we didn't know that until after it came out.
Exactly. That's what I mean. So
and I don't know if that was just a neglect on our part as enthusiasts, or if Nintendo kept that a secret for a while.
I think they kept that as a secret because I'm like, hold on, Koei Tecmo, you guys are part of the Musu games. Like,
well, that's Omega Force. That's their other division, though.
Well, yeah, but when we think of Koei Tecmo, we kind of think of them when it comes to the word games. Because the only game that we actually got from Team Ninja was Metroid Other M for Nintendo. We haven't got anything else from Team Ninja. Team Ninja's
doing. I mean, Team Ninja's doing Neo, and they're doing that long game for Xbox now, right? Like, that's their thing. Team Ninja is not, I mean, they're not working on Switch games. I mean, I guess they kind of helped with that Ninja Gaiden port. Did you ever play that? I heard it was kind of bad on Switch.
I did it. I was going to get into it, but then I seen the reviews, and they were just like, I think across all the boards, it was kind of like, it's okay.
Yeah. Nothing
like big or anything.
That's sad. I passed on. I wanted to buy those on Switch, and I wanted to see how they ran, but
yeah. I guess it's one of those things that when it comes to Koei Tecmo, I guess now, Nintendo does rely on them and stuff. Because I don't know who helped in Koei Tecmo's portion, one of the developers. I don't know who helped with the Fire Emblem 3 houses. The Three Hopes, yes, we know because it's a Warrior Star game. For Three Houses, I'm just like, which development team helped to make that? Because now I kind of feel like if if Intelligent System, Gus, and Koei Tecmo are going into this new Fire Emblem game, I think it's now literally officially just a three company team game now. Like, yeah, and like you said, Intelligent System is probably falling back, but they probably just like, yeah, let's develop the engine, let's get this all planned out, and then we'll hand it to them, and they could like produce it. And if they got ideas, share it with us, and we'll try to see if we can make it work and everything. And Gus, like with their visual style, they're terrific. So
Yeah.
I could see this happening. Um, I think I would just need to actually see it produced.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
I think
that would be interesting.
yeah, I mean, originally this game was rumored to be coming out in October, right? But I think with Persona and Mario Rabbids and Nier coming out in October, that this game would get buried. No offense to Fire Emblem, right? But
Hmm.
I think that there's a lot of things coming out in October and November that this is better being pushed to next year, right?
It
So
it needs its own space.
yeah,
Oh, because how big the series
I
have
mean,
become.
I would question even putting it out around Zelda. I mean,
Oh, it's way out after Zelda comes out, I
yeah,
think.
I think this is going to be a summer or fall game at best next year.
So I kind of felt like at first that it was good as a spring game, but I really feel like this is a good fall game. I don't feel like it's for summer for some reason.
Well,
I don't know.
When did Fire Emblem Three Houses come out? June?
July. Yeah, because no, yes,
July
July.
26th. Okay, yeah, I could totally see this coming out in July, especially like I think Nintendo might want to have like a major game each quarter. I mean, I know they're
Yes.
kind of aiming for a game each month now, right? With Xenoblade and Splatoon and Pokemon and Mario Rabbids, right? Like, I mean, there's 4 out of 5 months. So you have one like every 6 weeks, you have a brand new game. But like maybe hitting each quarter with like a major tentpole game, I would call them,
Yes.
and then
'Cause I
have supplemental games kind of wrapped around. I think Fire Emblem is their kind of tentpole summer
so
game.
so if they do what they did in 2019 for Three Houses, have it in July, have Astral Chain in August, have Link's Awakening in uh in September. If they could pull that off again with this Fire Emblem leader in July, I think it's happening. I would think that would happen. I agree with you. It needs a big game needs to happen about pretty much every quarter. But I think if Fire Emblem comes out, they need something else to follow that. Like you need to continue that hit because man, three still to this day, people are still playing Three Houses, returning back to that game. That's how big that game
Hmm.
is. So if they're going to bring
When you
out a
think
new
about it,
Fire,
like between the four initial paths, right?
yeah,
And then you have the Ashen Wolves DLC.
hmm,
That there's like 5 games in one in that game,
yes,
depending on which path you choose. And I think that was, I mean, that's a really smart way to do it because that's what they try to do with Fire Emblem Fates, and they sold it as 3 separate packages, right? And that kind of,
right,
you know, it was a neat idea, but I think including it all in one $60 package instead of, two $40 packages with a $20 DLC was probably a better way to go. Uh,
yeah.
so I really like that aspect. I hope they try it again with this one. And maybe depending on which path you take, you get a different set of, quote unquote classic characters or whatever. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I, I, I think now talking it over, I think it probably can happen. But
I mean, there's
yeah,
leaked screenshots of this game too.
I,
The
I,
screenshots look like early development, but they're there.
I would have to see it. I think it's probably is happening, but I would have to see a trailer. I would have to see something, and I kind of feel like if they're going to show this off for 2023, I feel like that's going to be for the last Nintendo Direct for the year. I mean, for like Nintendo, like another 40-minute presentation for this fall or winter. They'd be like, okay, we're gonna close out with this game, and then it's gonna be Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Because to me personally, I'm like, if when you start 2023, uh, and if you're going to do a direct, Breath of the Wild has to be the leading game for the next
Hmm.
direct.
Yeah.
Not the like
Well, I think Breath of the Wild is the September direct. It's my opinion.
I feel like
Because
it's
then you have a 6 month, you'll have like a 5 or 6 month marketing uh, push,
mm,
and then Wii U is trending. Neat. God, the Wii U is such a great console. But anyways, I think September is smart, or a Game Awards reveal.
yes.
I mean, I think we're just assuming that Zelda's coming out in March. I don't know if it. I mean, they could push that game too. So,
Yeah, but they can't push it to the summer.
well, I mean, we'll see. I'm sure we'll do a couple more expansion passes on Zelda. I'm not going to sit here
Yeah.
and talk about that when we have a couple. Well, we are going to talk about Zelda, but not this one. Uh, the third game I kind of want to talk about is that Donkey Kong rumored game that we kind of hit
Uh-huh.
on Nintendo Power Block a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
It's a supposedly a 3D Donkey Kong game made by the Super Mario Odyssey team. There's not much else known about it except for that they're making one.
Um, I, did you think that? Hmm. I kind of figured, does Donkey Kong need to return back to 3D? I think that's the bigger question for me.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, what was the last 3D Donkey Kong game we got? 64? Was that the last 3D game?
That was the one and only 60 only game that we got in 3D.
I mean, I just think that there's this weird notion that AAA games need to be 3D games, and I think some of the best platformers right out there right now, besides, you know, the Mario games, are the 2D Donkey Kong games. Like we just talked about a little bit ago, like they should totally remaster and HDify Donkey Kong Country Returns
Yeah.
for Switch, and Tropical Freeze was a joy to play. Hard, but really fun.
Yes.
And I don't know if it needs to come back in 3D, but it looks like it is. And if anybody's going to do it right, it's probably the Odyssey team.
Pretty much. I mean, they already got the blueprint. Like Mario Odyssey is, regardless of if you don't think it's a 10/10, I'm like, the level design, the creativity that's in that game, that is the blueprint that could go for a Donkey Kong. And I'm not saying it should be like kind of like a palette swap or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think they will really think about, okay, we got him in 3D. What is he going to be doing new? What is going to be his movesets? How are we going to do these lands? Is it going to be closer to Super Mario Odyssey, or like everything is done in that one land, or are we going to treat this like Super Mario Sunshine and break it up in different levels on this
Mm-hmm.
one island? And I think they're probably been figuring out what they're going to do and testing stuff, because you really can add like literally more characters to this game
Mm-hmm.
for the like you
Well,
pretty much got a good set.
yeah, I
Just
mean,
gotta
you think
pull
of
it
the
off.
characters that you would probably use for this game, right? I mean, you would probably use Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and Dixie, right? Those are the three kind
Yes.
of ideal characters. I mean, if you want to throw Cranky Kong in there, I guess you could. If you want to throw, I don't know, someone else in there, like I don't think Funky Kong would be a playable character. I think he was just a fun way to have, you know, people ease into this game, Tropical Freeze. But uh, I don't know. Do you bring back the DK64 characters? Do you add a new character? Do you add what was the playable character in Donkey Kong Country 3? What was that character that you played with
Uh
Dixie, the baby Kong or whatever?
oh shoot. I didn't play Donkey Kong Country 3.
So, I mean, I guess you could do that, but I'm pretty sure like the three characters would be Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, and Dixie Kong, and you
Yes.
use maybe their special abilities to like get to specific places, or you know, I don't know if you would swap in and out. I don't know if you would just choose a character before you jump into this area or whatever, but like
Straight Super Mario Brothers 2.
I mean,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
pretty much.
I just don't know. I don't think we need a 3D Donkey Kong game. I would love another 2D Donkey Kong game. I think that I mean, I've always said I'm not a 3D platforming guy, right? Like I think the closest thing to 3D platforming I will ever love is Super Mario 3D World.
Yes.
I just think 2D platforming is way
Now, see,
better.
I think that will work for Donkey Kong.
What, a Mario's 3D World type game?
Yes. You're moving in 3D space, but you still have your traditional levels. I could see that working.
Especially if you wanted to use different characters, I guess I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of doing that in Donkey Kong, the new 2D games anyway,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean, you're not moving in 3D space, but you can kind of see the translation there.
Yes.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to find an article here that we could kind of read. I have the comicbook.com article open, but I don't really use them as a source. They're kind of really hit or miss a lot of the time. More misses than hits.
I'm really shocked that they've been doing a lot of gaming stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
like news articles.
I just think it's to obviously get clicks, because no offense to comic books, but like that hobby is so niche at this point that, like, how are you going to run a full website just talking about comic books?
Yes.
According to a new report from a credible insider that goes by the name Zippo, which is what I heard from Eurogamer and Giant Bomb and all these other places as well, Nintendo has actually finished work on this new Donkey Kong title in question. This might sound odd to hear, given that Nintendo has yet to even announce a new game associated with the beloved ape, but this is something that we've seen in the past with Nintendo as well. For one reason or another, Nintendo often finishes games far in advance of actually revealing them to the public, let alone releasing them. The report from Zippo goes on to say that it's uncertain where Nintendo could end up formally announcing this game. Then it goes on to say they could potentially reveal it at the Direct, which ended up being the partners showcase.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know. I just think a new Donkey Kong game would be really interesting. I just don't know if it needs to be 3D, but I kind of like your idea of a Mario 3D World style.
Now that you mention it, because I was thinking I'm like, well, if they're gonna do 2D and they have like 4 players, then that would be like new Super Mario Brothers. But I'm like, once you said 3D world, I'm like, that is a good mixture. Still having your 2D 3D style levels, your linear levels, but that space, I'm like, for all those, I mean, pretty much they all have their own abilities, kind of almost like the Mario games, like 3D World. So why not incorporate that? They literally can. Now, the only thing that would be changing will probably be the difficulty challenges of those levels, because if you're going to do a Donkey Kong game, they got to be challenging. But I'm like, man, a 4-player 3D kart level,
God.
like, yes, that would literally be crazy. But think of the online features with that yes, you see your characters running, but you have a bigger screen, and depending on what you do in order to help the other players, like, that would be interesting to see. Because, like, or there's a big enough mind that everybody jumps in and you all have a job to do. Because you can still have that cart level. Someone controls it to go do the jumping. Everybody else could, like, be shooting enemies or something. Like, not so much like House of the Dead, but like you're looking at it and kind of like, man, I want to say that kind of like Gangster Time or even Duck Hunt. How that viewpoint is where all the ducks are coming and you're shooting at them, but in this way that you can see your character and stuff. And I don't know. It's just like there's so many possibilities that could happen, but put it in that 3D world space. Okay, that's an expression pass for another day.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm totally down for a Donkey Kong game. I will play it.
Yes, same here.
But we'll have to see. All right, Ed. The second to last thing I want to talk about is there's been a few rumors floating around that Nintendo and Bandai Namco are working on a remaster of some sort of uh, game from Nintendo's past. We don't know what it is. A lot of rumors that have been going around have been either Kid Icarus Uprising or Batten Kaitos or Xenosaga, which we know Nintendo and Bandai Namco have been talking about. We're talking about Xenosaga at one point, and then those conversations stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that is the game here at play. I think out of the other two games, either Batten Kaitos or Kid Icarus Uprising, what would you feel about a Kid Icarus update?
No.
I didn't say it's not a yes or no question. I need more than a no.
Oh. No, I said no because I thought she was gonna be like, really, Ed? I thought she was gonna say so. I
mean,
think because
I didn't play Uprising, so like I don't
me
care
neither.
either way, but I know that some people have been pointing to that, and I know that Bandai Namco helped out with that with Sakurai's team Sora. So I don't know.
I think Sakurai is doing something else, so he wanted to do something else, and I think Bandai Namco is going to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think it's going to be Uprising. I think that game, that's something for Grezzo and them to do to fix and bring out. I think Battine Kados would be a better choice. I know we spoke about it, and I know I said that it's so niche that a lot of people didn't get to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the good relationship now that JRPGs have been on Switch and with Nintendo and Bandai Namco, I would get that game out because more people I think will be willing to notice this game and give it a try. Because if they don't bring it out, then this is going to lead to the GameCube speculation. Be like, oh, okay, GameCube, if it gets announced for Switch Online, people are going to be like, okay, these are the games that need to be on it. Where's Ben and Kados? Because if it's another game that hits that GameCube Online, and people are just like, what is this? They're going to jump on and play it, and Bandai is going to miss out on some good money. So I think I'm literally thinking it's that. It's something that you got two games with. People are saying, Switch is the JRPG system of choice. So why not put some games that people miss and make it feel fresh and new? I think more people will get into this game because people be like, yeah, I heard of that game, but I never got a chance to play. And I think people are willing to play GameCube games on Switch and they ready to buy it. Just look at how people want Twilight Princess and Wind Waker to come. In any whatever format, the Wii version, not the Wii version,
No,
the GameCube version,
Wii versions are
or the Wii U version. Yeah.
Look, I mean, we're gonna talk about those games next, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Kid Icarus Uprising did enough for people to warrant a remaster. I mean, I get people want a new Kid Icarus game, and we've had our wishes and theories and wants for a new Kid Icarus game. Like we've done that probably 10 times at this point.
Yes.
I just don't know if the 3DS game is the game that is the one that warrants something. So, I feel like I would rather have a new game, a new Kid Icarus experience.
Yes. Well, if they're gonna do Uprising, yes, they could touch up some things. The control scheme has to be redone from the ground up. Yeah. That was too complicated for a control system for 3DS. And so if you're going to put it on Switch, where you actually now have a controller that isn't on the system, I mean the Joy-Cons, but like the Pro controller, there's a lot of stuff that could be remapped and redone
Hmm.
for this game, and I think more people would jump in to play it. Hey, if that Metroid game that came, what was it?
Federation Force.
Federation Force. A Federation Force came to Switch right now with some remap stuff. Oh, people will enjoy
I
that game.
I'm telling you, I think with the popularity of games as a service
Hmm.
and the Switch being so popular, I actually feel like some sort of Federation Force sequel, not the original one, because like it was a cool idea, but it needed a lot of work. Like some sort of sequel, especially now that we know that Metroid Prime 4 is coming. We got a great 2D
Yes.
Metroid. You know, the remaster of one is supposedly on the way. I think a Federation Force style game would thrive on Switch right now.
It would get, what happens with that is that the interest would be there. Be like, what the world? This is
Hmm.
coming. I'm going to buy it because I want to see how this comes out. Because people expect it to fail and laugh at it,
Hmm.
but Nintendo's laughing at the bank. If they could get you to get enough interest where people are going to say, I'm going to buy it, and they show that they're going to buy,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter if the quality is good or bad. They did enough to get you to buy
Hmm.
their game.
The
They don't
pro
care if you trade it or. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the problem is like I'm so into Destiny that like I would want this game to be more on the level of a Destiny with like raids and strikes and an economy that you can kind of
Hmm.
grind for and stuff. And I know Nintendo would never put that much effort into one video
Well,
game.
true. But I think if they were able to hire a developer who is known to do something like that and can make it
Hmm.
really like a Metroid game and like feel it and everything, because I think they'll go back and play for the Retro Force and be like, okay, you guys have some good ideas, but at the time, you guys didn't. The games as a service thing wasn't your ordeal,
Hmm.
and we know it. So let's work as a team to get this done.
You know,
And they put it up. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, you know who I thought of would actually be great at a not only this but a Kid Icarus game as well.
Who?
Ubisoft. I mean, you look at Immortals: Phoenix Rising. That's essentially like
Hmm.
what I would want out of a Kid Icarus experience, right? This open world kind of
Yes.
fantastical Greek uh experience, and it's basically like Assassin's Creed, but in this fantastical world, right? Uh, and if you're gonna make a Metroid Prime Federation Force, Massive is making the Division. They're making that Avatar open world multiplayer game, and they're making that Star Wars open world game.
Yes.
I think that that team would be great at making some sort of bounty hunting game in the Metroid universe set up like that. It's my opinion.
They do. They do have the experience. I'm not. I to
Plus,
tell
they've
you
done a lot
truthfully.
of great work with Nintendo specifically, right? I mean,
I,
you look
I,
at
yeah.
you look at Mario Rabbids, you look at Immortals, not the best version on Switch, but they made it work. You
Yeah.
look at Starlink with the Star Fox stuff.
I wouldn't be mad at Massive taking. Massive probably will seem as the best because of their history. They know what they're doing, and I
Hmm.
think working with Nintendo, I think they'll be able to bounce ideas off, because I'm like, you got this West. Well, I don't know where Massive is, if that's here or if it's in
I
Europe.
think it's in Europe, but
In Europe.
I mean, essentially though, like I know a lot of people like to bag on the Division and be like, "Oh, it's just generic military level shooter," but it's like mechanically, it's great.
Yeah.
I think the second one really improved on the loot system. I think the
Yes.
kind of taking over points and leveling up really did I think the Division and the Division 2 are great games to play.
Yeah.
uh I mean, in terms of like a co-op experience, I think they could do a little bit more in terms of like what they call raids or incursions, I think is what they're called.
Hmm.
uh and kind of like higher tier mission structure, but overall I think the
And
base version, like the base, just playing the game with friends is a good time.
yeah,
And
and Nintendo being an Eastern company, they don't know first person shooters. They don't know games as a service and stuff
mhm,
like that. Like, all the other companies are doing.
Yeah.
Bungie is the leading company for games as a service because they have worked with first person shooters like with Halo.
Hmm.
But Destiny took a time to get to where it was at, and they had to
I mean,
refine some stuff.
Destiny's the best it's ever been right now, and
Yeah,
it took them 6.5 years to make it what it is now, right? I mean,
yeah,
Destiny's always been good. What mechanically, it's always been good, but I would say it took them at least 5 years to get them to a point where Destiny would be considered great, and I would say
hmm
it took them even longer to get them to being a top tier. This is the game we look at for a game as a service RPG style game like this,
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
And I think it's because Nintendo doesn't know all of that,
hmm
giving it to Massive, and I agree with you. Ubisoft would be
hmm
great at it. Giving it to Massive, who knows all of this stuff, Nintendo wouldn't have to worry. They could come in and give ideas and play stuff and kind of course correct some things
hmm
and stuff to see how it's still a Metroid game and it's not too far out. And I
Well,
think
I mean, I
for
think you just market it different. I don't think you.
well, yeah,
I think you say this game is set in the Metroid universe. You are a bounty hunter, or part of the Federation. I don't know. You could probably do that. Go that way
yes,
instead, and like you can create your own character and kind of go through this with friends. And it doesn't have to be as complicated as the Division. I don't think it needs to be. But
no,
I think
no,
if you can make like a decent third person shooter with a loot mechanic and you can create your own characters and you have something to work towards and you fight, I think you could have cool 3-player or 4-player style
and
strikes or dungeons where you fight traditional Metroid bosses like I don't know, Ridley or you know some of these
right,
other,
some new. And I think Massive could help Nintendo create a new universe, a new area. And to be honest with you, Corey, I think this will help massive in the future products that they work with.
Mhm.
Because if you're going to learn from the best, why not learn from Nintendo? Why not get some of their ideas and their teachings and making look how it happened to Platinum. Platinum, yes, Platinum has always been a good company, but look at the work they have produced after working with Nintendo. And I kind of feel like if Massive is going to do this, work with Nintendo. My $60 would be day one purchase, pre-purchase
I
already if they did a Federation Force.
mhm. Yeah. Anyways, back to Kid Icarus, I guess. I mean, I think, like I said, I think Immortals: Phoenix Rising is an experience that I would want Kid Icarus to look at and try to somehow
Yes.
emulate that with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So, all right, Ed. The last thing I want to talk about, obviously, are these Zelda ports. They've been rumored forever. I think they're done and waiting and just looking to slide in a slot to where Nintendo doesn't have something. I think that they're going to be sold separately. I don't think they would be sold together. I know
No.
people want them to be sold together. I think you're crazy if they're going to sell you a bundle of Zelda games. But Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are the games that we are talking about. I think Wind Waker comes first. And then Twilight Princess will be somewhere down the road, if at all. But my thing is like, I think these games, I mean, Twilight Princess less so because it was on the Wii, I guess. But like,
Hmm.
they're both these games are stuck on consoles that nobody bought, you know? And it really hurts that people can't play Wind Waker or Twilight Princess on a modern console, you know?
Yes.
I mean, that's the whole reason my Wii U is still hooked up is because of those two games.
Yes. Yeah, I understand. Okay, I feel like this going to happen. I know we've been discussing when and where. I think I could officially say that if it happens, these are two good December games. I just I feel like they're December because they are big enough, kind of mid-sized before Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. But I feel like December they have more exposure. I know we was talking about what game there was another game that we were talking about that would get more exposure because I know
Bayonetta.
we said Bayonetta would be moved to January would be better.
Yeah.
But
And,
I think I said January.
well, we were talking about Advance Wars also.
Yes,
My
but
thing
then
is like, my thing is like I know October is super busy, but if there's a game that can overpower anything that comes out in October, it would be a Zelda game.
Yes,
And
that is
Nintendo
true.
has come out and said they want a Zelda product out every single year, right? Whether it's a port, a remake, or a remaster, or a new game, right? We've had a Zelda product every year except for this year since the Switch has come out, right?
Yes.
2017 Breath of the Wild, 2018 Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. 2018 was what, Link's Awakening?
2019 was Link's Awakening.
What was 2018? What came out in 2018? Hold on. Oh, Hyrule Warriors came out in 2018. 2019 was Link's Awakening. 2020 was Age of Calamity. 2021 was Skyward Sword. 2022
Yeah.
is what? And
Was
I know
supposed
it's
to be Breath of the Wild 2, but
right.
because it got delayed,
I know that's what I'm saying. Breath of the Wild 2 got delayed, so what do you put in place of it?
Wind Waker.
One of these ports would be the easiest thing to do. And we still have, supposedly, I mean, we have 6 months left in the year, right? It's only July.
Yes.
We have to get some sort of major direct sometime in
You
the
think
next month or two.
you think that both games would be separated per like in a different month? Like
I
when
don't think both games are coming out this year. I think we're going to get one this year,
mm,
which I think it's Wind Waker. And my gut is telling me Wind Waker. As much as I want Twilight Princess because I love Twilight Princess so much,
yeah.
I think it's Wind Waker because they've released Twilight Princess 3 times at this point.
And Wind Waker's already been out for two times.
Yeah,
GameCube and Wii U.
and it's stuck on 2 consoles that nobody bought. So like to me, Wind Waker. Let's see, Wind Waker is the game you stick somewhere.
I have to go. If we're just going with Wind Waker, I have to go to December because everything is full.
Well, my thing is like they want to put this game in a position where I would almost argue November, the first week of November,
Dude,
2 weeks outside of Pokemon.
Yeah.
I would say the first week of November.
I don't know how I feel about that. I think I not saying that it can't happen and I would have wanted to happen, but I'm like, what does the conversation looks like? Because I'm just like, do Wind Waker HD hit Switch the first week of November.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's big sales. It's going to get posted on social media that people bought it. It's going to, if they got collector items or amiibo or a controller or accessories, whatever, that's going to be the focus that everybody's going to go on. And it's just like, do you do that before God of War?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to knock it or anything.
I think Nintendo right now is so big, you can put a Wind Waker out against God of War, and it's still going to sell 5 million units within the first 2 months.
It'd be more complimentary, definitely. And I feel like,
or you have gamers like me who don't own a PlayStation and don't really care to get one right now, and you would buy Wind Waker over God of War anyway.
Oh well, yeah, but I think it's just like, man, because that's a good money thing for Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But does Nintendo do it? I think that's probably the question.
Yeah, I think Nintendo's in a position where they could totally do it. I think the Switch is so popular.
Mm-hmm.
People are so hungry for these Zelda games, these Zelda ports. They're so hungry for Wind Waker, especially Wind Waker, that I think Nintendo could drop it. They could drop it in the middle of October, arguably their busiest month of the entire year, and be
oh yeah,
here you go, Zelda, buy it or don't, but buy it, and everybody will buy it. People will skip Persona, people will skip Nier, people will skip Mario Rabbids to buy Zelda. I would. I mean, that would take priority over everything else for me.
Yeah. I think it's just like the first. I think I'm just thinking of the first week of November of where they do it.
Oh, plus.
Go
ahead. Sorry, go ahead. Go.
Oh no, because trust me, if they do it, I'm already pre-ordered. I'm looking for the amiibos. I'm looking for the accessories. Like I'm trying to get the full package. Like Nintendo Pop Lock is going to just center around that announcement and that game.
You think they would
I don't
have
know.
Wind Waker Joy-Cons? They had Twilight Princess, or they had Skyward Sword Joy-Cons. They are going to have Wind Waker Joy-Cons. People like Wind Waker way more
Corey,
than Skyward Sword.
did you know how much fighting that we're going to be doing?
I mean,
around
I
trying to
bet
get
they would
it?
they would be black with the gold. I bet.
I would.
Also, they
I
could
want a Pro
they could
Controller.
have it. I mean, I know they're already putting out a special edition Switch this year, but like, could you imagine a Wind Waker OLED?
OLED? Oh heck yeah!
Man, that'd be super cool. I would think about trading mine in for one, or just buying one straight up.
Well, I'm like, I would buy one to be like, well, I need a travel version of the OLED.
Yeah.
uh,
I don't know, man. I mean,
I can see
first of
that
all,
happening.
Wind Waker
I
on the
can see that. I can see that happening. Um.
I just want to say, I mean, like, I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna save the big kind of OLED switch for Skyward Sword. I bet they're, or for Breath of the Wild
Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or whatever that ends up being called. But like, I think you're gonna get a really cool OLED version, which I will cry to get. All my Christmas and birthday money is gonna go towards that.
Dude, just think about it. So it's white with all the Zelda thing, Zelda, and it just has that gold triangle in the middle, like,
Well,
or have some gold or some red on it or something.
I would almost think it would be like white with that blue color that they use to promote Breath of the Wild with.
Ooh,
Like some sort of like cool blue design or whatever, and
yeah.
then you have like the gold kind of trim or whatever. But for Wind Waker, I bet you at least get a set of Joy-Cons.
Yeah,
Black with some gold trim, similar but different enough from the
I'm thinking of the red because of
the boat,
of the ship,
Red Dragon or whatever it's called.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that too. But I think they have enough red, right? They have the neon red and they have the Mario red ones.
Mm. Or give me that red in the Pro Controller, because I would like that color in the Pro Controller with some yellow buttons or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could keep the blue and stuff for the Switch stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the first week of November, are they doing that? Man, that's to see the reactions on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Of people buying that, just even if they're not interested in the OLED, just getting the amiibos and accessories in that game. Like, Nintendo would clown in black in the money. Coins,
Yeah.
dude.
I think
more.
people want black Joy-Cons, and I'm shocked that they haven't given them to us yet.
That is true. And
but they kind of, I mean, it shocked me that we don't have more Pro controllers. Like different Pro controllers, you know?
Yeah.
I really want this. I really want that Splatoon one. I know we talked about it already, but...
So then if we do Wind Waker in November, first week, okay, down for it. Because we just had a conversation and my mind is just going everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Where do we go with Twilight Princess?
I mean, you would skip to 2024. I don't think Twilight Princess and Wind Waker come out at the same time. I think you hold Twilight Princess. Because 2024... I mean, yeah, I just don't see it coming out in the same... It wouldn't come out around the same time as Wind Waker, and it wouldn't come out at the same time, the same year as Breath of the Wild 2, unless you push Breath of the Wild 2 to holiday and you put Twilight Princess out in March or April or May. But then do you want 3 Zelda games coming out within a year of each other? I don't think Nintendo wants that either.
True. That's very true.
I mean, Wind Waker is awfully short, though. I mean, to 100% it, it's like roughly 25 hours, maybe.
Yeah, but some of the stuff is really challenging in that game.
I know, but I mean, like, it's still a relatively short game, is my point. Twilight Princess is a little bit longer, right? I mean, I think it's about 35 or 40 hours, but maybe you do package them together if you want to avoid that. I don't know. I don't know.
Did you? Because then it becomes the Pokemon discussion that do you spend 119? No, do you spend close to $250 on 4 games in November for Nintendo? And I think people would,
I mean, yeah, I think people would
but
too.
but having that OLED Wind Waker Switch, and on top of having a OLED version of Breath of the Wild, if it gets pushed back, if OLED Breath of the Wild 2 was coming in the summer, now dude, now OLED Breath of the Wild 2 hits June. Fine with that. Fire Emblem next game hits July. Whatever comes out in August, let's say Metroid Prime 4 hits August. That what I just talked about earlier, saying how Fire Emblem was from 2019, if they could recuperate that, that would be the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
Because you literally could hold people over. Hit us with Wind Waker in November. You could literally do Twilight Princess in March. Because guess what? If we still talking about Bayonetta 3 getting pushed to January, fine. If Advance Wars get pushed to February, fine. Twilight Princess in March, dude, that's a strong spring lineup, winter/spring lineup. And then all we got to figure out is what's dropping in April, what's dropping in May.
Yeah.
And if we believe that Metroid Prime remake is happening or remaster is happening, and it drops in April, dude, that would literally be a most bunkers yet straight up good lineup if that happens. You end 2022 with one of the hottest and strongest lineups, and then you start 2023 with another banger of lineup. Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a lot of money and profit Nintendo is going to get. And if you don't think that's going to happen, you need to rethink again. You need to go ahead and look at the NPD sales of Nintendo and those games and just see that nonsense happening for the rest of the year, for the next 9 months. That's crazy if that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I think we're getting into the point where it's going to be just too crowded. But I still think some sort of Zelda game is going to make it out this year. The more we're talking about it, the more I'm convinced something Zelda is going to come out this year. I don't know what, and I don't know when. I could see at the end of September. I could see the first week of November. I don't think August. I think August is too soon now.
Yeah, it's too late,
especially with no direct real direct recently. But I mean, if they end up showing something at the end of July or mid-July or whatever, which is a new rumor that's been floating around now, I could see them if there's a direct in July. I say something Zelda related at the end of November or at the end of September. If we don't get a direct until September, I would say the first week of November.
Yeah. Just, man, to really combat, man, that would be a huge November. That's another discussion for another time. I'm sorry. You just mentioned that, and I had to think about how does the conversation go, because that is, dude.
But you also have to remember, like, man, I don't know. There's got to be something else in December too, though. Like, I mean, I know that we've kind of circled that for Advance Wars, but like, say this Metroid Prime remake is scheduled for November, like they've been, like everybody on the internet is swearing, right? Like, so where would you put Zelda then? You can't put it in November.
Right now, I'll switch after we just had that talk for Wind Waker dropping the first week of November. Push Metroid to December. Go ahead and push.
I'm still not convinced Metroid Prime is coming out this year at all, but considering if everybody has that first week of November circled for Metroid, then where would you even put Zelda? Would you risk putting it in October against all these third-party games?
I would put Zelda in November and push Metroid to December because you already got the Callisto Protocol. So you already got a space game. Why not continue that Space Odyssey with Metroid Prime for
Well,
Nintendo?
I
Why
mean,
I'm like, you
in
might
all
as well.
in all fairness, I don't think Nintendo cares about the other games that are coming out
Well,
around the time, which sometimes could be foolish, but sometimes probably works to their advantage, right? But like,
but well,
but
yeah, but
also
I'm
this
just
is the company that put Luigi's Mansion out in October against Call of Duty and Battlefield and all these other games, and it
yes,
still sold 5 million units. So I mean,
yeah,
whatever. I don't know.
and I think since December is so with uh the Callisto Protocol being like the space adventure kind of game, with
Yeah,
the
but
feel
that's
of Dead
so
Space.
different from Metroid,
It
you know?
is. It is, but I'm just like, why not Nintendo hop onto that kind of business wise? I'm thinking of as business wise of Nintendo. If this go is a big game that I'm seeing people are interested, why not continue that interest and getting people coming to our side by releasing Metro Prime Remake? Because you got your survival horror. Good. Try our not so much survival horror, but our adventure game. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not be like, hey, we got a complimentary game. Some of you guys have missed it. Some of you guys been wanting it. While that game is out and nothing else is going to be given enjoyment, let's get it out. Also, let's get it out by the time before Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever holiday comes out that you celebrate. Bam.
Yeah.
Because all the big games are going to be done. You already got Pokemon out the way, so the Pokemon company ain't going to be saying nothing. So if it's quiet and it's dead and nothing is coming out after the Callisto Protocol, Nintendo could get the last word of the year.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, we're gonna be watching the Game Awards and stuff. I don't know why, but I'm like, for a game
Zelda
release,
reveal.
that is true, yeah. But for like a game release to get the final word, Nintendo might as well always already do it because Microsoft is not saying much. Sony's not saying much after their games come out. Still the dunder.
Yeah.
Go get them $50 or $60 coins. Nintendo, might as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm already gonna try to be recovering a bunch of watts from Wind Waker in November.
Right. Well,
Thank you, Corey. You put these stuff.
I know, and I could keep going for another, 2 hours on this, but I think we should probably stop here because I think we're gonna have a pretty deep Zelda conversation coming up on an expansion pass, and I don't want to waste it on this.
Yeah.
So,
And knowing you saying that, why do I feel like it's gonna come true?
I know. Ugh, awful. I feel.
Don't feel awful. Feel amazing, as always.
Ed, get us out of here before I start just cranking out some more Zelda talk.
Well, Corey, where can we find you?
You can find me at I am Corey HC on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast. You can find me on Nintendo Power Block. Obviously here on Expansion Pass and Standard Definition and other things on the Boss Rush Network.
Yes, you guys can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCo and on Instagram. You can check me out on the Discord and on Nintendo Pop Block on Mondays live and on Wednesdays on our YouTube page on bossrush.net and our audio format. Check out our writers at bossrush.net. And yeah, if you're interested in checking out some of my personal work, you can check out Optional Opinion on SoundCloud. With that, everybody, have a great week. Have a great weekend. If you're going to get Wind Waker, if it comes out for the 1st of November, please let us know. With that, everybody, we'll see you next time on Expression Pass. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.